The city of Istanbul has been known through the ages under a number of different names. The most notable names besides the modern Turkish name of Byzantium, Constantinople and Istanbul. Different names are associated with different phases of its history and with different languages. Names in historical sequence. Lygos. According to Pliny the Elder, the first name of Byzantium was Lygos. This may have been the name of a Thracian settlement situated on the site of the later city, near the point of the peninsula. Byzantium, Byzantine, Latinized as Byzantium, was founded by Greek colonists from Megara in 667 BC. The name is believed to be of Thracian or Illyrian origin and thus to predate the Greek settlement. It may be derived from a Thracian or Illyrian personal name, Byzas. Ancient Greek legend refers to a legendary king of that name as the leader of the Megarian colonists and eponymous founder of the city. Much later, the name Byzantium became common in the West to refer to the Eastern Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, whose capital the city had been. This usage was introduced only in 1555 by the German historian Hieronymus Wolff, a century after the empire had ceased to exist. During the time of the empire, the term Byzantium was restricted to just the city, rather than the empire that it ruled. Augusta Antonina was a name given to the city during a brief period in the 3rd century AD. It was conferred to it by the Roman Emperor Septimius Severus in honor of his son Antoninus, the later Emperor Caracalla. New Rome. Before the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great made the city the new eastern capital of the Roman Empire on May 11, 330. He undertook a major construction project, essentially rebuilding the city on a monumental scale, partly modeled after Rome. Names of this period included Nu Epsilon Alpha, Delta Epsilon Upsilon Tau Epsilon Rho Alpha Omega Mu Eta, the new, Second Rome, Alma Roma Lambda Mu Alpha Omega Mu Alpha, Beta Epsilon Zeta Alpha Nu Tau Iota Alpha Sigma Omega Mu Eta, Alpha Omega Mu Eta, Eastern Rome. Roma Constantinopolitana. The term, New Rome, lent itself to East-West polemics, especially in the context of the Great Schism, when it was used by Greek writers to stress the rivalry with Rome. New Rome is also still part of the official title of the Patriarch of Constantinople. Constantinople was the name by which the city became soon more widely known, in honor of Constantine the Great. The Greek form is Constantinopolis, the Latin form is Constantinopolis. It is first attested in official use under Emperor Theodosius II. It remained the principal official name of the city throughout the Byzantine period, and the most common name used for it in the West until the early 20th century. It was also used by the Ottoman Empire until the advent of the Republic of Turkey. Other Byzantine names besides Constantinople, the Byzantines referred to the city with a large range of honorary appellations, such as the Queen of Cities, also as an adjective, Beta Alpha Sigma Iota Lambda Epsilon Epsilon Omicron Epsilon Sigma Alpha, the reigning city. In popular speech, however, the most common way of referring to it came to be simply the city. This usage, still current today in colloquial Greek and Armenian, also became the source of the later Turkish name, Istanbul. Constantini is the name by which the city came to be known in the Islamic world. It is an Arabic calqued form of Constantinople, with an Arabic ending meaning place of instead of the Greek element polis. After the Ottoman conquest of 1453, it was used as the most formal official name in Ottoman Turkish, and remained in use throughout most of the time up to the fall of the empire in 1923. However, during some periods Ottoman authorities favored other names. Istanbul. The modern Turkish name Istanbul is attested since the 10th century, at first in Armenian and Arabic and then in Turkish sources. It derives from the Greek phrase epsilon iota sigma tau eta nu pi omicron lambda iota nu Istanbulan, or sigma tau eta nu pi omicron lambda eta, both meaning in the city or to the city. A similar case is Stimbuli, Crete. It is thus based on the common Greek usage of referring to Constantinople simply as the city. The incorporation of parts of articles and other particles into Greek place names was common even before the Ottoman period. Navarino for earlier Averino, Satins for Athenas, etc. Similar examples of modern Turkish place names derived from Greek in this fashion are Izmit, earlier Izniknit, from Greek Nicomedia, Iznik from Greek Nicaea, Samson, and Istankoy for the Greek island Kos. The occurrence of the initial I in these names may partly reflect the Old Greek form with is, or it may partly be an effect of secondary epenthesis, resulting from the phonotactic structure of Turkish, as in Turkish Istisian from French station. Istanbul was the common name for the city in normal speech in Turkish even before the conquest of 1453. But in official use by the Ottoman authorities, other names, such as Constantini, were preferred in certain contexts. Thus, Costantini was used on coinage up to the late 17th and then again in the 19th century. The Ottoman chancellery and courts used Costantini as part of intricate formulae in expressing the place of origin of formal documents, such as Bimakami Darus Sultanate I Costantini Yatul Marus Artulmami. In 19th century Turkish book printing it was also used in the impressum of books, in contrast to the foreign use of Constantinople. At the same time, however, Istanbul too was part of the official language. For instance, in the titles of the highest Ottoman military commander and the highest civil magistrate of the city, Istanbul, and several other variant forms of the same name were also widely used in Ottoman literature and poetry. Names other than had become obsolete in the Turkish language during the late Ottoman, early Republican periods. However, Constantinople was still used when writing the city's name in Latin script. In 1928, Turkish alphabet was changed from Arabic script to Latin script. After that, Turkey started to urge other countries to use Turkish names for Turkish cities, instead of other transliterations to Latin script that had been used in the Ottoman times. Letters or packages sent to Constantinople, instead of Istanbul, were no longer delivered by Turkey's PTT, which contributed to the eventual worldwide adoption of the new name. In English the name is usually written Istanbul. In modern Turkish the name is written Istanbul. Stambul, Stambul or Stambul is a variant form of Istanbul. Like Istanbul itself, forms without the initial I are attested from early on in the Middle Ages. First in Arabic sources of the 10th century and Armenian ones of the 12th. Some early sources also attest to an even shorter form Bulin, based on the Greek word poly alone without the preceding article. Stambul was used in Western languages as an equivalent of Istanbul, until the time it was replaced by the official new usage of the Turkish form in the 1930s. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, Western European and American sources often used Constantinople to refer to the metropolis as a whole, but Stambul to refer to the central part located on the historic peninsula, i.e., Byzantine-era Constantinople inside the walls. Istanbul, Istanbul or Istanbul, both in Turkish language, were folk etymological adaptations of Istanbul created after the Ottoman conquest of 1453 to express the city's new role as the capital of the Islamic Ottoman Empire. It is first attested shortly after the conquest, and its invention was ascribed by some contemporary writers to Sultan Mehmed II himself. Some Ottoman sources of the 17th century, most notably Evliya Çelebi, describe it as the common Turkish name of the time. Between the late 17th and late 18th centuries, it was also in official use. The first use of the word Istanbul on coinage took place in 1703 during the reign of Sultan Ahmed III. The term Constantini still appeared, however, into the 20th century. Other Ottoman names, Ottomans and foreign contemporaries, especially in diplomatic correspondence, refer to the Ottoman imperial government with particular honorifics. Among them are the following: Desadet, Deraliya, Der being the Persian word for door, Babai Ali, Bab being the Arabic word for door. Actually, the gate of the administration building where all rules and messages were leaving to the corresponding recipients, still exists. Payatat, the Persian word for capital. Isitane, written in Arabic as Al-Asitana. The Gate of Felicity, the Sublime Gate, and the Sublime Port were literally places within the Ottoman Sultan's Topkapi Palace, and were used metonymically to refer to the authorities located there, and hence for the central Ottoman imperial administration. Modern historians also refer to government by these terms, similar to popular usage of Whitehall in Britain. The Sublime Gate is not inside Topkapi Palace. The administration building, whose gate is named Babai Ali, is between Hagia Sophia and Bayazit Mosque, a huge building. Historical names in other languages. Many peoples neighboring on the Byzantine Empire used names expressing concepts like the Great City, City of the Emperors, Capital of the Romans, or similar. During the 10th to 12th century, Constantinople was one of the largest two cities in the world, the other being Baghdad. Old Norse, the medieval Vikings, who had contacts with the Byzantine Empire through their expansion through Eastern Europe, used the Old Norse name Miklagarth, later Miklagard and Mikkelgarth. This name lives on in the modern Icelandic name, Miklagartha, and Faroese Miklagartha, Cyrillic. This was presumably a calque on a Greek phrase such as beta alpha sigma iota lambda epsilon omega sigma pi omicron lambda iota sigma, the city of the emperor, king. The term is still occasionally used in Bulgarian, whereas it has become archaic in Serbo-Croatian, Russian, and Macedonian. In Serbo-Croatian, it is still used when referring to the historic capital of the Byzantium or the Ottoman Empire. In Slovene, Karagrad is a living alternative name for the modern city. In Czech, this Slavic name is used in the form Carigrade. It was also borrowed from the Slavic languages into Romanian in the form Marigrad, though Constantinople remained the far more widely preferred term. Persian, Urdu, and Arabic. Besides Constantinia, Persian, Urdu, Arabic and other languages of the Islamic world use names based on the title Caesar, as in Persian and Urdu Kaiser-i-Zaman, or on the ethnic name Rum, as in Arabic Rumiyat el-Kubra, or Persian, Urdu Takti Rum. Judeo-Spanish, the city is referred as Costandina or Costantina, and more often as its short form Costa or Costan in most Judeo-Spanish publications during the Ottoman period. Costa was the name for the entire province of Istanbul, while the word Istanbul was used for the area of the Old City and Pera. Today the word Costa is restricted only for historical purposes and is no more in common use. The word Istanbul has widened in meaning to include exclusively the entire European side of Istanbul. The Asian side is usually not considered as Istanbul. However, the expression La Civita de Istanbul would encompass the boundaries of the present-day city. There are few expressions denoting the Asian side. Anatole, from Anatolia, and Asaya, meaning Asia, are common words to denote the Asian side of Istanbul. Moreover, Lotro Lado is a quite simplistic and descriptory expression for the Asian side of Istanbul, especially for those living in the European side. Those living in the Asian side, however, do not use this expression to denote the European side, but simply call it Istanbul. The inhabitants are called Estambuli or Estambuli. Hebrew. In Hebrew, the city was sometimes referred to as Kushtadina, and sometimes Kushtadina Abati, literally, Great Kushtadina, or shortened to Kushta, probably due to a distorted pronunciation of the Judeo-Spanish Costandina. This usage was common among non-Sephardic Jews until the early 20th century. However, in present-day Israel it has virtually disappeared, replaced by the Hebrew transliteration of the Turkish Istanbul, Chinese Lumi city during the Ming dynasty, Wulumu during the Qing dynasty, Gongsaidang di Nabol during the Qing dynasty, Kangsai Tani Nuajer during the Qing dynasty, Junchatan Dingbao modern name in current use. Modern languages. Most modern Western languages have adopted the name Istanbul for the modern city during the 20th century, following the current usage in the Turkish Republic. However, many languages also preserve other traditional names. Greeks continue to call the city Constantinople or simply the city. Languages that use forms based on Stambul include Russian, Polish, Latvian, Lithuanian, Georgian and Albanian. The Albanian form is Stambul, the Spanish form is Estambul, the Portuguese form is Istanbul, with an M instead of an N. Armenian uses Polish, based on the Greek poli, city. Icelandic preserves the Old Norse name Miklagartha. In Slovene Karagrad is still largely used and often preferred over the official name.